I was a little concerned that we heard more about the budget and the budget and the budget and less about, I guess you did talk about maintaining what we have, and that is what's very important, maintaining the quality and the levels that we have. We do have excellent teachers, excellent administrators, but I hope that we do not lose the main focus of education while we talk about the budget and how to balance that, and I'm not sure if anyone wants to address that.
Yes, I mean, the budget is a concern. I mean, and yes, we always have to think about more than just the, I mean, that a board person has to think about that. They have to think about outside the box. I mean, there's more than just the numbers. I mean, it's a very large picture to work with. And I think it's the passion of every single one of us being here and doing this job for no, it's it's all out of service for us. So, I mean, for us to kind of step into the position to do it, I mean, we have a lot of passion to do it already, and we have a lot of passion from the parents that we meet with, and the PTAs, and and everybody that we meet in the community. The children can never suffer. They have to always look forward to going forward. We have to educate them that way. And part of our problem is coming up with these creative ways of making sure that is actually capable. Because we're not only developing for now or 5 years, but like my daughter's in first grade. When she's in high school, I want to be able to make an impact now for when she's in high school and make those advantages for her that I didn't have and some of the other students may not have there now. So, and it's always creating that future and that ongoing curriculum to help all children out, not only just my child, but everybody.
Yeah, the quality of education that we have here, we want to maintain it because we are here for our children and for everybody's children. We want to make sure that they stay here, that they help thrive this community. That's what we all want. We want a thriving community. So in order to do that, we're here volunteering and trying to come up with new ways to maintain that and maintain those great teachers that we have. Our children should never be impacted. Our children should never have to worry about a budget. They should never have to worry about where that's coming from, where their books are going to come from. They shouldn't have to worry about that. I think we should come up with new ways so that they're set.
You're right in that it's interesting when I meet people, and when you're out in public, they don't look at me as Rick. Sometimes it's Chloe's dad. I get that one. But the other issue is not the budget. It's, how big is the class going to be at the elementary school? Or are you cutting this calculus course? Or it's not, what are my taxes going to be? So I think that, when you look at the families and the students, the questions that come up, that percolate out, are the ones that affect them, what they expect from the school. They have an expectation that, we're not going to be skyrocketing, and I think they hear that, for a school this size, we've been really prudent about maintaining a low, cost per education per student by comparison, but that's not the issue for most families. I really don't think. I think if we went around even within the PTA, the questions are, it's my child, and I have an expectation of you at the school that, they're going to be able to get out of, and have the programs that they need to have a successful life and make that happen, and the budgets, hey, it's what it is. Please be careful with it, but that's not the priority. So I think it's a good perspective to look at.
I just remind you that the question itself was, what is the most serious issue facing us? And unfortunately, it is the budget. And so that's what drove the responses by all of the candidates, because there's no escaping that it is indeed the thing that will limit us and provide the opportunities. If we don't have the resources, there's little we can do. Now, having said that, are there things that we do that we want to be able to continue to grow, to do and to enhance over the course of time? Absolutely. We've got an alternative education program that has been started within the last 2 years. There are kids that were disaffected, disinterested, underachieving, and threatened with the possibility of not graduating from high school. And we initiated a program, and we have phased it in over several years, and it has been highly successful. And when I say highly successful, we're talking about students who probably would have failed half of their courses, probably because they didn't come to school half the time, who now are on the honor roll. We have some of those same students that are graduating this year. To me, that's a mark of success. We have other things that we're in the process of putting into place. With an institution such as an education institution, there's a certain amount of institutional inertia, meaning basically it's hard to get it moving, and sometimes it moves a little slower than what we would like to see it move, but the reality is it only moves about as fast as you can push it, and you can't lead too far out in front because the pack stays behind you. So you have to bring everybody with you, and it takes time. It takes an investment in people, staff development, professional development, changing the mindset or the culture of the institution in order to have people buy into it, become stakeholders, so that they are committed to the success of the initiative. And I'm thinking in terms of, right now, of professional learning communities and the continuum of instruction. In the past, I think it would be fair to say, although it's perhaps overemphasized sometimes, that Shenendehowa did a great job on the top end and a great job on the lower end, being the group that was most challenged. It's probably not fair to characterize it as a lower end, just a convention. But the kids in the middle lost something. And oftentimes what happened is that you had a benchmark that was applied, tests, whatever. And that was the demarcation point between regular education and the beginning of enrichment and acceleration, or the benchmark between regular education and special education. And what happened was that we had these people that were close to the edges of that benchmark, but were not necessarily receiving services. In reality, people need things in varying degrees. And so if we are in a position, and we have put into position a situation wherein we can more effectively assess the student immediately in the classroom, that means training teachers to be attuned to feedback from their students. What do they see? How do they interpret it, and so forth. And they can, because of that, immediately address someone they see is kind of drifting off and glazing over and so forth, like some of you are going by, if I don't stop it. They can respond. If they see somebody kind of drifting off, then they will, pay some additional attention to that person by maybe a minimal amount, and maybe that's all that's needed. Maybe it means they have to give them a little bit more focus, but they addressed it immediately, so it didn't get out of control. It didn't develop into a large gap. And so the early appraisal and the early response means that the response actually can be minimal rather than waiting until later on when we have to invest more people, more resources, and so forth to address a bigger gap. And so that whole idea is being institutionalized in our instruction, and it does take training and it does take time. We're doing so, and I'm sure that it's going to make a difference, not only in terms of how effectively we deal with the students, but how efficiently we do it, because I think we'll actually wind up being able to give students more for less.